Welcome to the NBC4i Digital Center for the latest edition of NBC4 Sports Extra. This is post-game coverage. Ohio State defeating Wisconsin pretty handily, 34-0, the final. Right now, let's take a live look at the podium. It is 5:50 Saturday evening. Here is the podium inside Camp Randall Stadium. We are awaiting post-game comments from Ryan Day and the Buckeyes after the 11th straight win dating back to last year's college football playoff. The Buckeyes improving to 7-0. A lot to talk about, a lot of good and some not so good. Here to help me out, we have Bill Conley. Of course, we call him Coach here in these parts of town. Coach, let's start with the good while we wait for Ryan Day and the Buckeyes to get to the podium, because there was a lot of good in this game.
Absolutely.
Carnell Tate, really stole the show, especially in that first half. And comes away with 2 of the 4 touchdowns scored, 111 yards on 6 receptions, and he had that one catch in the first quarter that was just amazing to look at. And Carnell Tate, we know how good Carnell Tate is, but just the way he was able to explode today.
Yeah, his confidence is really, you can show every week that he is really becoming the mainstay of this offense. His ability to go up and get the ball and grab it out of the air. He attacks the ball at his highest point. He runs great routes, and he gets separation from the defenders. So he's having an outstanding season.
Again, live look here at the podium. We're going to keep an eye on that. Some of the other stats I thought were interesting, and we'll bring some of that up as well when we get here. We go. We have some team notes for you. Actually, I'm going to keep an eye on what's going on in Wisconsin. But 8th career shot for Ryan Day, and the big stat for me, 97 rushing yards. So Ohio State limited on the ground game. And I believe, Coach, that was one of your keys to the game, was to try to get the ground game going. They couldn't, but it forced Ohio State to have to go into the air, and that's really where Julian Sayin just shined this afternoon.
I'll tell you what, he is really taking strides to being the #1 quarterback in the country, David. This guy, and the thing impressed me today, he always has been a pretty good thrower and all that stuff. He puts the passes on the money. His ability to avoid the rush at times. He stepped out of a couple of situations where he had to keep the alive in the pocket and outside the pocket, and then find receivers and put the ball on the money.
Some of the not so good, it relates back to just 97 rushing yards, which is quite a shame because we've seen the ground game really develop over these last few weeks or so. It kind of goes back to the offensive line. What happened there today?
Well, I tell you, for the first time this year, I saw our offensive line letting the other team give some penetration. Now, that's the strong point of Wisconsin. Their defensive line has traditionally been a strong point. And this year also only allowing 3.5 going into the game per carry to the opposing rushers. But, we had 37 at the end of the first half. And kind of Ohio State looked like, they threw the ball so much in the first half. They were trying to maybe open up the run, draw some more guys out of a rush in the coverage, but it didn't work. It just, it's one of the things. You saw a lot of different running backs for the Buckeyes today, which is good. But, again, the yards per rush has got to get much, much better.
Give credit to Wisconsin's defense for being able to do what it did. However, on the other side of the ball, Wisconsin just really couldn't get anything going. This is the first time since 1968, I believe. I saw the graphic on the broadcast. Since the 1960s, that Wisconsin has been shut out in back-to-back weeks. And mind you, these were at home. The Badgers lost 34-0 last week to Iowa. Luke Fickell, a former Buckeye, he's doing his best out there, but man, it's a combination of a lot of things. Injuries, they just really couldn't get their offense going anywhere.
Yeah, exactly right. And, we threw for a lot of yards, and the secondary is one of those areas they've had some injuries this year. They've been hurting. And then the other one, on the other side, their quarterbacks are always hurt. And I tell you what, it's tough when you go up against the schedule they have. One of the toughest schedules, not only in the Big Ten, David, but in the country. And it doesn't look good for Luke and the Badgers at all for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I believe they have Oregon next, and this is the toughest test because it's the #1 team in the country. But it's not like it's going to get any easier. Meanwhile, let's go back to the Buckeyes. They're going into the bye week now, and then they have that matchup against Penn State, and who knows what Penn State is going to look like in a couple of weeks. They're going through a lot of changes. However, keep focused on the Buckeyes. They go into this bye week now. They got to feel really good about what they've been able to do. This is arguably their toughest stretch. They had 3 games on the road in the Big Ten. You got to think there's a lot of momentum going into a much-needed bye week.
And as a football coach, Ryan Day's got to be feeling really good knowing that our defense doesn't give up big plays and not giving up many points at all. And time of possession was so much in favor of the Buckeyes, primarily because the defense kept getting the ball back for us.
Yeah, again, final score, 34-0, Ohio State over Wisconsin. When you think about this stretch that the Buckeyes have been on, this is the 3rd time in the last 4 weeks that Ohio State has not even allowed a touchdown. We got to give credit to the defense here. The defense has looked phenomenal week in and week out. We saw that pretty brilliant interception by Sonny Styles, kind of a right place, right time kind of thing. But I mean, they're clearly far and away the best defense in the country right now. There's no question.
No doubt about it. And playmakers, like you said, David, I mean, who's going to be the next guy up deal is everybody's making plays. They run to the ball. The aggressiveness of the defense is amazing, how well and athletic they are, how well they run in the open field. They make tackles in the open field. They break on the ball. They got great closing speed from the secondary. I mean, how do you plan against the Ohio State defense? Because there's really no weaknesses out there.
I mean, here's the thing when you think about the opponents coming up, the Penn State, you got Purdue, Rutgers, UCLA, and of course Michigan. They're looking at all these games and they're like, how do we get through? I think there was at one point a little bit of when the run game for Ohio State was being stopped. That is a good tell for other opponents being like, okay, there is a way to try to stop them. But then Julian Sayin has his arm, and it's like, okay, if we can't go through the ground, we've got the air. So I guess when you look at the bye week coming up, we talked about the offensive line already. What do you think is at the top of your kind of to-do list when you're thinking of how to improve this team going to the final third of the season?
Well, I think it all starts in the running game on offense. You got to get that thing figured out. And I think, playing so many different guys, it's trying to figure out who are really the best 2. You kind of think Bo Jackson's definitely one of them. The other thing is throwing the ball today to the running backs, I think was really smart, because that's one way you can also keep a defense honest. Because if you can stop the run, but then you slide those running backs out into the pattern, you run some screens with them and things like that, you have to defend them on the passing game too. So everything about the offense in relation to the passing game is good. It's the running game that's got to get worked on, and especially in short yardage where you got to get those first downs when you got 2 or 3 yards to go on third down.
I want to welcome our viewers just joining us here. Oh, Ryan Day coming to the podium right now. Let us listen into what he has to say.
Have to go back and watch the film and figure out what was good and what broke down. But as you guys could tell, we wanted to come out and throw the ball more in this game and kind of try to get a feel for where we really are in the passing game, because we know we're going to need both here down the stretch. And that's a defense that I think is a very good defense. And they don't always get put in the best situations throughout the season, but like I said to our offense, I said, this is a defense that tackles well. They're well coached. Luke does a good job. And, I think when we broke down, it was because, we either lost focus or didn't execute all the way down the field. And a good defense is going to force you to work the ball down the field like that. They're not just going to let you, take long shots. Even when we try to shoot the ball down the field, you can tell that they're just backing up, and but it's good for them to feel that as well. But now that as we throw and catch, we have to be efficiently working the ball down the field, and all it takes is one play to be off, and you find yourself off schedule. And it was good in the first drive. We came out and found ourselves in a 3rd and long and made a great throw and catch to score. and then it's good to get a turnover early to get the rhythm going. But we'll look and see, how the run game. To me, looking at it, we left some meat on the bone in the run game for sure. But to see us throw the ball, we did was a big step in the right direction. And I thought Julian made some really good decisions in the RPO game. I thought he checked the ball down for the most part when he needed to, and then his off-schedule plays were excellent to me. He found his checkdowns at times, but the scramble plays, like the one to Brandon, was really well done, and found a few other ones as well.
Coach, follow up a bit on the run game there. We saw Isaiah West get some opportunities late at Illinois.
Yeah.
Get some opportunities again today. What did you like from him and kind of the way he's throwing on the depth chart?
Yeah, I got to watch the runs on the coach's copy, but on the iPad on the sideline, 2 runs I thought were good. One for 7, and I forget what the other one was for, but hit him good. I just kind of like the way. And then there was 2 guys in the hole that he made miss. So good sign for a young back. So we'll kind of see what it looks like and see where we're going from here. Yeah, I mean those are good runs, and so we're going to look at everything and do everything we can to make sure that we're efficient and we're balanced. So.
Yeah, Ryan, the goals to win the game. But is there any thought given to getting stats for guys covering games like this in terms of maybe whether it's awards or Julian Sayin was in there kind of late and.
Well, I think we're still growing, so we're still trying to build on all of this. But what we can't do is what you just said, and that's hard to do sometimes because these guys work hard, and we try to do what we can to make sure that guys get touches. But when you start to focus on those things, you can find yourself way out of whack. I'm not sitting here and saying that sometimes we don't do that. We're guilty of that sometimes because we love our guys and we want to do that, but we have to stay disciplined, and that's what goes back to being unselfish, and that's it. Guys have to understand, and the number one goal is to win the game. But we're going to do everything we can to make sure guys get touches the best we possibly can, staying within the system and not putting our offense at risk of sputtering on a drive and not scoring a touchdown. Yeah, I'll let you know how that one happened. Brandon was out, so that was actually going to be Brandon in the slot. But because Brandon was out, we moved Quincy over into the boundary. We moved Carnell to the slot, which he had not run that play in practice one time. He actually ran that play against Purdue as a freshman and got a big play down the middle. And what it was we were running down the field against a coverage where what we call 2 Tampa or tricky, and he stuttered on the tricky player. So it was a stutter on him and then went by him, and then Julian got pushed off his mark and had to slide, so he was a little late getting it to him. And so he threw a good ball, but it was a little bit late, and so Carnell had to come back and make a contested catch over the defender's head, and I just thought that was a really great catch. Just that's an All-American catch. And so for him to make a play like that early in the game set the tone. But yeah, I mean, those are the things, when you're trying to get it down the field, you got to find double moves. You got to try in as many ways as you can to push it down the field. But yeah, big time throw and catch.
Just to follow up on Julian, for him to be, redshirt freshman, 7 games into his Ohio State career and playing the way he's playing, just how impressed are you with the way that he's developing?
I'm impressed with his preparation. I sit in those meetings with Billy and he and Lincoln, and I just the amount of information that he's processing and those guys go through in those meetings is well done. And when you see it translate to on the field, that's winning football. And so when you just can take a meeting to the field as quickly as he can, and then see it and then process it, is he perfect? No, there's things he's going to work to get better at. But man, he's got a bright future ahead of him. Well, I mean, his play speaks for itself, and the catch he made early on is tremendous. You see some of those catches he makes is on the sidelines. He's a great blocker. He is playing himself to be, again, a first rounder and an All-American, and He's just a different style of player than Jeremiah, but just as dangerous and just as good. And to see somebody who has put the work in, and again, you heard me say before, put the dirty work in, and now he's seeing a lot of the balls come his way, and he's seeing a lot of play. The throw and catch on the back shoulder fade, all those things are working for him, and it's great to see him have success with the numbers he's getting now, because this is a guy that sacrificed a lot in the past, a little bit last year, and had to put the work in and then maybe not see the numbers and see the results, but had faith in the program and stuck in there and believed in the culture, and now you're seeing it pay off for him, and that's a great sign for everybody on the team, including the young players but at all positions.
Do two more. Dave Holmes. Ryan, despite the dominance, you've been adamant that you think there's still room to improve. So just off the top of your head, a couple things you want to accomplish over the bye that you feel like you guys could improve on?
Well, some of the run game, needs to be better, I think, but we'll go back and figure out what's going on with that. I think we had the special teams breakdown, which we can't have happen. that can cost you a game, and that was ridiculous. So, there are certainly areas that I won't get into because I don't want to give anybody anything to look at. But we know what our issues are, and we have to continually work on them to get them better. And then continually put guys in position to be successful, because sometimes it isn't always the issues as it is, all right, here's a strength of somebody. How do we put them in a position to go do that? And in all three phases. So that's our job as coaches. Bye week comes at a good time. We can kind of get healthy here. We know we got a big one at Penn State at home. So we'll take a couple days to catch our breath and then get back after it. Yeah. Well, we kept calling him, so he was doing well. I think he's accurate. He makes good decisions, and when he stays on schedule, we can move the ball right down the field. And no, I'm be shocked if he didn't grade out a champion to me. I thought he played really well in this game. But I will say we've been here for 15 minutes and really haven't talked much about the defense, who just shut the team out over here. So let's talk about the defense real quick. First off, to get the turnover early in the game was tremendous. And, we knew that they wanted to, we've seen them against some really good defenses just, run the ball. And we knew we had to stop the run in this game. And so we had, put a lot of time into that, and the defensive staff and our guys. And then to get the turnover early was good on the road, because we want to be consistent. And we see what happens across, again, college football week in and week out. And so we can't have letdowns. So when the defense is playing like that and creating turnovers in a short field, that helps us get a fast start. And so we just kept playing, and that was great. But one of my favorite parts of the game was the way that we ended. And that's, when guys are on the sideline and they want to, hold to the shutout, and, some of the depth guys are in there, and everyone's screaming and yelling, because it isn't about the score. It's not about the results, it's about the process. And that's it. And the guys are playing for each other, and that's another good sign. So hats off to the defense again. Another shutout. I hope nobody's getting used to that, because that doesn't just happen. This is a lot of hard work that gets put in, and give the defense a ton of credit, give the staff a bunch of credit, and obviously our guys on defense played their tails off. Yep.
Okay, sounds like Carnell Tate is coming up soon, so we don't want to delve too much. And just as I said, Carnell Tate at the podium. Bill Conley and I are watching. Let's bring you back to Camp Randall Stadium. Carnell Tate at the podium.
Carnell, when Julian first got here, about when did you realize he was pretty special as a quarterback?
I knew he was very special when he first got here. He throws a very accurate ball, understands the game of football.
Was there a moment, maybe in spring practice back then, that stood out?
When the moment I realized he can go was he threw a field hole shot in the red zone. Not too many quarterbacks can make that play, and not alone freshman quarterbacks.
Andy Anders for
Yeah, just take me through the catch over two defenders for the touchdown and what it feels to make a play like that.
It was just a great ball from Drew for giving me the chance to go up there and make the play, and then it just happened to be two defenders up there. I just went up there and grabbed the ball.
Julian, you seem to be getting more comfortable with kind of using your
Yeah, I think, if the offense calls for that and the play calls for that, sometimes we're getting pressure and we weren't having our back able to get out because he was in protection. So I think, it's just all about, can we keep the play alive and, manage and, keep playing to play the next down.
Jeff Gilbert.
Carnell, your hands, just go up, snatch balls, grab balls. Have you always caught the ball that way? Did you used to cradle something? Did you learn to do it differently, or just is that natural?
No, I've always been learning to catch the ball with my hands, and I'm just gonna continue to do that week in and week out. That we always work on it in the practice, and that Coach Hart always preaches on it. Always catch the ball with your hands, never your body.
Over here, Cameron, Tate Robinson.
Julian, Ryan was talking about it, and obviously you know that defenses are trying to take away the deep ball from you guys. Go to Carnell, seemed like a similar thing. Very small window, though, deep there. Just what did you see on that play that made you think, like, I can fit this ball in this tight window and he would be moving instead?
Yeah, he ran a great route, got the guy's feet stopped, and then, was able to you're talking about the first touchdown, correct? Yeah. Yeah, he got the guy's feet to stop and then, reaccelerate and just, put it up high, give him a chance, and he made a great play, and, that's all we can ask for.
Front row, Patrick Whitman.
Julian, similar to the question Carnell was asking, when you got here, how quickly did you start to realize what Carnell gave you in this game and player he was?
Yeah, I think, you knew about him coming in because, he had a great freshman year. But, just the route running, his hands, and ability to get open, you quickly see it on day one, and, it's evident in practice and then in games.
Dan Hope.
Carnell, what would you tell Heisman voters about the guy next to you?
He's the truth. He's the Heisman winner. And ain't no question, ifs, ands, or doubt. Each and every week he go out there to prove to us why he's the Heisman winner.
Second row, Dave Holmes. Hey, Julian, you go against the defense in practice. I'm curious what you think of the run. They're kind of on a heater right now, and what you see out of them.
Yeah, it's a very good defense. I mean, Coach Patricia, they do a really good job. They give us some crazy looks. So I think, when we go out there on Saturday, we have a lot of confidence, going out there prepared because we've seen it all. I was just talking to Coach Patricia in the locker room today about a look that, the defense gave us, and he was like, I've given you some crazy looks in practice, and, you're prepared for it all.
Front row, Bill Conley.
Julian, when you hear what Carnell just said about the Heisman, you're 7 games into your career, really, as a starter. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm really just playing one game at a time and trying to, do my best to, execute the offense and keep improving. I think our offense is all about just keep improving week by week, and, we're not where we want to be yet, and we want to be playing our best football in December, November.
Joe Nugent.
Julian, how have you changed from that first game where it was a balanced attack to today where the coaches were comfortable throwing over and over and over again? I have a lot of trust in you.
Yeah, I think it's what the game called for. They were very stout in the box, and we saw the ability to take advantage of plays outside with the RPO game, and I think the receivers did a good job of spacing it out and catch knifing, and they made some great plays, making guys miss after.
Do two more, Stephen Means.
Julian, who's the better Biletnikoff Award candidate? The guy sitting next to you or number 4?
It's really tough. We got two guys who when it's one-on-one and you're looking both sides, you're like. I mean, I have full confidence that both these guys are going to go score a touchdown for us. So it's really tough, but we have a great receiver room here, and these guys make some great plays for us.
All right, last one for these two guys, and we'll bring in Caden Curry. Go to Rob Allen.
Yeah, Carnell, coaches drill into you one play at a time, one day at a time, one game at a time. How hard is it to stay focused on now and not look ahead to future games, playoff? Let's just get there.
It's always hard. There's a lot of distractions out there in college football. A lot of teams out there are losing, and a lot of things are at stake. But then you also got to live in the present moment, and you can't affect the future. You only can affect what's going on now. So we just got to play football now, and then worry about what's going on now and what's in front of us, and not next week or a week after that.
All right, guys, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bring in Caden Curry.
Caden Curry is about to come up to the podium. Coach, just real quick, what they were about to say. These are just really talented guys that know what to say.
Oh, yeah. And they coach him up on that when they have summer camp and everything like that. Guys are real good.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Caden Curry right now at the podium.
Every week we're going for a shutout. Obviously, we want to be the best defense in college football. So, we definitely don't want to let them get anything. And, obviously going out there and doing that is definitely something that is part of our goals. Definitely seeing the young guys get out there and just seeing how hard they work throughout the week and kind of getting that moment and kind of getting that chance to go out there and prove themselves. Obviously it doesn't always go the way they want it, and seeing the way that they did want it to go and going out there and making those plays, it's definitely nice to see.
Caden, Coach Tate was talking about how important it was to stop their running game. You guys talked about that this week. Why do you feel like you guys were so effective in that area and able to slow down that part of their offense?
I mean, just watching their film, you see that they are kind of a heavy run team. I mean, they obviously are kind of notorious for the run game. I mean, they have always had great running backs here at Wisconsin. So, I mean, we've always kind of just seen them as a great run team, and we wanted to kind of prove a point and stop the run. Yeah, I mean, obviously these teams out here, they're always kind of hungry. They always want to be the team that beats the #1 defense. So, I mean, you obviously got to always think it's about us, and we're always trying to get better every week. I mean, if you kind of play down to the level of your opponent, you're not going to get better. So we're always trying to make ourselves improve, and as Coach Day says, we're trying to upgrade every week.
Coach Day was saying, we don't want to take shutouts for granted. When you guys are playing this well as a defense, do you have to remind yourself of how hard it is just to get a shutout?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we know how hard it is to put the work in throughout the week, and kind of just know that at any given play, I mean, if an offense has a great play, they're going to kind of get the yards that they want. So, I mean, being able to shut them down, I mean, throughout the whole game is definitely impressive and something we won't take for granted.
Three turnovers last week, another one here early in the game that led to a score.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that part of the game as it is growing?
Yeah, I mean, obviously every week we're trying to kind of get the ball out. We're trying to cause havoc on defense. We want to make plays. We want to get good field position for our offense, and kind of just growing that habit now is definitely going to help us later down the road. So, I mean, kind of just growing that habit is what we're trying to do.
Caden, this is the fourth shutout in the last 2 years, and I know that a lot of it is what you guys are doing with the ones, but it does kind of take the second unit to take some pride into that as well. Hold that up. The pride they take in maintaining the shutout when your guys' day is done. How impactful and how important is that for a second mindset of the defense?
Yeah, I mean, they're working just as hard as we are every week. They're giving the offense looks every week. I mean, they're going against them. We're going against them. So, I mean, just being able to kind of go against those guys and kind of getting those looks kind of definitely helps us prepare. And, I mean, obviously it's iron sharpens iron. So, I mean, they definitely have the kind of areas that they need to work on. We have areas we need to work on, and we're obviously trying to get better every week. So, I mean, seeing the shutout is definitely something that they take for granted too.
Last two questions, Joey, and then Andy. Joey.
What do you think has overall made this defense as good as last year, if not better?
I mean, honestly, just kind of how we play together as a unit. I mean, we're all so tight and we're all so close together, and just the bond that we grow every week. And having Coach Patricia in there definitely has helped and kind of just helped us grow it faster. And he's definitely kind of brought himself into it, and we've loved to invite him, and he's kind of just somebody that we are kind of bouncing back and forth with.
Yeah, Julian in this game in the pocket was really good at escaping pressure and extending plays. Has he shown that in practice? Like, how hard has he been to contain? I know he has a black
I mean, if we could hit him, that'd be awesome too. But obviously, he's good at getting out of the pocket, and he kind of feels that pressure from us, I hope, throughout practice. So, I mean, I'm glad to see him kind of use those tools against other teams and kind of see how it pays off for us. Thank you, guys.
Hey, folks, so their statistics crashed at the end of the third quarter, so that's why there's not.
Hello. Okay, we're back. So I believe that will wrap up the reaction from the Buckeyes. We have some final thoughts here with Bill Conley. Wrapping things up, Ohio State winners over Wisconsin 34-0. Your final, a shutout victory, the 8th under Ryan Day. I want to touch back on something we were talking about right before we went into the press conference. And Ryan Day touched upon this as well, the need for the balance between passing and running. Clearly, when one is going, the other kind of they're going to get to the point that they're going to need both. They haven't gotten there quite yet. They haven't needed to quite yet. I'm looking at the rushing stats. It's really interesting because we've seen in past weeks C.J. Donaldson step up. Bo Jackson has been really a steady workhorse for the run game. Today, though, what caught my eye, Isaiah West, he's a redshirt freshman out of Philadelphia, 54 yards on 9 carries. So with that all being said, and with what Ryan Day said about the need to find a balanced attack, what do you think needs to happen in these next few weeks to get there? And how much does that involve the run game?
Well, here's the thing that you have to consider, David, is the defense is going to take away something. They make a decision. What are they going to take away? Are they going to take away the run, or are they going to take away the pass? So that's where you start as a defensive unit. And these teams have been doing that, and we've been taking, basically what they've been giving us, plus our talent level is so high. So, it's just, I think the way you get it to your running backs is you multiple formations, different ways. You decide what type of blocking scheme. Are you going to use a gap scheme, a run scheme, or a zone scheme against the particular team you're playing? And so you'll use that scheme depending on what you've seen in the film and the videos of the teams they played. And it goes there. Then it's just execution. And one thing that it's nice to have a lot of running backs, but you can only get so many reps in a game with so many guys. And it's going to get to the point, and fortunately, we haven't had any, knock on wood, we haven't had any major injuries anywhere on the football team, is that there's going to be a couple of guys emerge as the go-to guys in certain situations, just like in receiving. We got a couple of go-to guys we can get the ball to. Same thing's going to happen in the running game.
And to your point, I mean, again, knock on wood, there hasn't been any major injuries. I think Brandon Innes went down for a little bit, actually came back and ended up getting on the box score here. It just showcases the depth. And I think the other point you bring up is also the need to have depth, but also to be able to find your guy, I guess. And because when you're trying to vary it up a lot, you start to lose some of that consistency. So I kind of understand what you're saying. Caden Curry talking at the end, obviously the defense needs to earn its flowers here. I mean, a shutout and also preventing a touchdown for the third time in the last 4 weeks. And we talked about before the press conference just how incredible the defense has been. From hearing from what Caden Curry has had to say, what do you think is really motivating these guys week in and week out?
Well, just the high level. All right, can we be as good as the defense a year ago? Can we make plays like they did a year ago? And we're starting to now see these guys, for example, get turnovers the last couple of weeks, which we didn't have a lot of them. And Caden Curry is a guy who, preseason was a good player, but we never knew how good he could be. He hadn't had to. And he's coming to his level. And there's the culture at Ohio State defensively is you're going to fly around, you're going to make plays. And playing a lot of guys keeps fresh bodies. And because they get off the field so much, the starters are pretty fresh for 4 quarters. Look at what they've been able to do every quarter of the football game. And this Caden Curry is a guy, for example, he's in the top 10 in the nation in sacks and in tackles for a loss. Whoever would have thought that coming into the season?
No, this season has not quite gone to script, and that's what's amazing about sports, because, and we're going to talk about the national picture in just a moment. One more specifically on Carnell Tate, because I think that's going to be the biggest takeaway that everyone's going to be talking about coming out of this game, just because of how explosive he is and that touchdown catch under double coverage, like flying through the air to be able to make that grab. Let's go really big picture here. Carnell Tate's draft stock looks really good right now. Yep. And Ohio State is just lucky to have him right now, isn't he?
Yeah, and what you're going to find out, David, too, is that now that he has become such a threat, it'll maybe draw some of the coverage away from Jeremiah Smith. And so they're both going to be first-round draft picks. There's no doubt about it. Maybe the 2 best on one team in the country. And we've had that before in the last few years.
All right, last one before we go, because we have 2 weeks now to talk about Ohio State football before another game. But national picture, we're coming off of a Friday night where we saw Miami fall to Louisville. And you look at that top 10, and you got to wonder, what's the gap, Coach, between number 1 Ohio State and everyone else?
Well, the big thing and the big question, which will be answered down the road probably in the playoffs, the Big Ten playoffs, is how big a gap is there between Ohio State and Indiana? Because right there, you're talking about the 2 teams that have brought it each week and really are far superior than any other teams I've seen in the country.
Yeah, Kurt Signetti doing quite the work there at Indiana. So a lot to think about over the next couple of weeks, but Buckeye Nation will be very happy with what they've seen over these last few weeks. 3 of those games on the road, the latest, a 34-0 victory over Wisconsin. Bill Conley, as always, we appreciate the time and the analysis. And that will do it for this edition of NBC4 Sports Extra, the post-game edition after Ohio State defeats Wisconsin 34-0. A bye week coming up. And then, of course, the home game against Penn State on November 1st. Well, that'll do it. For Bill Conley, I'm David DeGuzman. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks for watching. For more NBC4, download the NBC4 streaming app. You'll get free 24/7 local programming streamed straight to your living room. Just search NBC4 Columbus on your Apple TV, Amazon Fire, Roku, or Samsung device.